It is good to see you all today. And I really mean good to see you all today, because some of you have some questions about why in the world would we put a stage in kind of the middle of the room, right? We're not quite the middle, but we're getting close. And here's the reason for that. Because I got tired of not being able to see you. Any other questions? No, okay, good, glad. When you're on this stage, here's what happens. The lights blind you. I can see about 3 rows back, but I couldn't tell, Nick, that you were right there. Yeah, I can see you. Thank you. I can see your eyes right there. Thank you so much, Donna. But I couldn't see anyone else. I couldn't see you in the back. I couldn't see you on the side. Jeff, I couldn't see you back here in the corner. Man, it's good to see you today, by the way. Glad you're here. You get to look at people and connect with people in a different way when you're part of the same environment that you're in. Now, listen, it doesn't make it any easier, because now that I can see you, I'm going to call on you. All right? That's right. Stacy Dodge, I can see you right there. All right, And so here's how this works. It's about us connecting together. And when somebody is speaking, it's so much better. We're talking about Jesus as friends, as family, as people that are here worshiping him. So much better if I can see Lance and go, Lance, what do you think about that? And we can have a direct conversation with that. And so that's great. When you have worship people on the stage amongst us, that's what worship is. Worship isn't a production. Worship isn't being on a stage with lights flashing and everything. That's not worship. That's just aesthetics. Worship is connecting deeply and genuinely with each other as we come into the presence of Jesus. That's what it is. Now, this stage won't be here forever. We've got one being built right now. Really excited about that. It's going to come out, be a little bit rounded, go back, connect to the stage back there. And we're going to use that through Christmas, because Christmas is kind of based around this. So it's going to be here for a little while. If you don't like it, sit in the back. You're in the same place that you've always been. It's okay. I get that. I know not everyone likes everything that happens. I love you. I'm glad that you're here. We want to serve and worship our King together. That's what part of this is. So let's move on from that. Now, let me ask you this question. How's life? Good? Good. How you doing? No, Nick, how you really doing? Let's get a little Italian going here, okay? How you doing? You get some, how are you doing really? Are you really good? Every Sunday I ask as many people as I can, and just so you know, it's a trick question every week, but I ask you anyway, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Yo, I'm good. I ask people all the time, I'm good. Okay, are you really? Understand this. I read your Facebook posts. That's true. If you were on Facebook, I would have done that, but since you're not, I read Facebook. You know what? I know that you're not doing okay. I see what you post. I know that Shannon Laufer is planning to go on another cruise. That's constant with her, right? That's what she posts all the time. I love that. But I know that you're not good. That's why when I look you in the eyes, when I'm talking with you before a service starts, and you say, I'm doing great, I know you're lying to me. All right? So let's just stop it. Just tell the truth. Because if you're here today, and every single part of your life is going really well, first of all, I know that's not true just from experience. Secondly, I'm excited if you feel like your life's going well. I really am. But there's the door. Because the rest of us, our lives aren't going so well. The rest of us, we have something inside of us that's not doing what it's supposed to do. That's not living how we're supposed to live. That's not putting us in a place to be okay in every scenario all the time. And today, this message is geared towards you that feel a little less than, all right? Just a little less than. That feels like something's wrong. I want to talk to the people that might have something hiding in your life that needs to be exposed so you can deal with it and move past it. I want to talk to the people who maybe have just a complicated season of life that you're in right now. And you're trying to figure out, how do I deal with this? What's my response? I want to talk to people who are struggling with someone that you love. And you know you love them, but things are just difficult at this moment. I have all kinds of friends and all kinds of different stages in their lives. One of my friends has been praying for a miracle for years. And God is not answering the way that he thinks God should answer. And he's struggling with that in a big time kind of way. I have a few friends that have been praying for God to allow them to get pregnant for a few years, and it's not happening, and they are struggling with that. That's a big time struggle for them. I just got back from Florida last week. I was at a New International, our missionary group that we support. I'm on the board of directors for that. And so I was in Florida for meetings for them. And one of the guys, excuse me a second, that works there, his name's Jason. He's in his 30s, mid to upper 30s. He's got two little boys, 5, 6 years old. And about a year and a half ago, he got diagnosed with cancer. Devastating, right? To be that young and to get cancer. And he spent the last year and a half trying different formats of treatments to get him well, to get him healthy, so that he could be okay. And they seemed to be working, but it wore him out for a year and a half. And he was told he was in remission, and he was excited about that. And then when I was down there this week, I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Not good." He said, "It's back. And it's growing in my lungs." And I just cried. Just stood there with him in a room full of people and just cried. It's devastating. He's struggling, and he's going to be struggling with that for quite a while. Now, for some of you, it might not be that big of a challenge, but maybe it's an ongoing challenge with you. Maybe it's something you've had your whole life, and maybe it's, you started a job and you liked the job when you started and go, "Well, how's your life?" The job's okay, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just kind of okay, and you're struggling with that because you want that fulfillment in your life. Your marriage is not great, it's just okay, and you're struggling with that. Your finances aren't great. You're just maybe barely making it. And to make it worse, you're sitting next to one of those people that life is going really, really well for. And you're going, "Come on, guy, can I sit by someone else? Can you put somebody else in my life that's struggling as bad as I am, because I can't deal with this?" And you're struggling with that. You need to remember, I've said this so many times in the past, but you need to remember, you're either just coming out of a hard season of life, right? Or you're in the middle of a hard season of life, or you're getting ready to walk into a hard season of life. Anybody want to get up and walk out now? Are you glad you stayed to hear that depressing kind of news? Gee, thanks, God. I'm so encouraged by being here today. But it's just the truth. It just is. Thank you very much, Miss Evelyn. I appreciate that. It's just the truth. And I hate that is the truth. But we live in a broken world. And this world can be brutal. Absolutely brutal. And we look at everything happening, and Peter in the New Testament calls these tough moments fiery trials. Fiery trials. Now, some of you may be in the middle of a fiery trial right now. You're battling with depression. A lot of people deal with that these days. You're discouraged. You might even feel like your life is being tested. And Peter said this in 1 Peter 1:7. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It's being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world. Hold on to that statement because that's good stuff. The trials you're in have a positive outcome for your life because you're showing Jesus through your life when you're in the middle of those. Now we're jumping back into our series right now on the book of Daniel. Joel did an amazing job last week talking through some of the trials and tragedies that happened through that. And because the book of Daniel is all about tough situations and living with true, real faith, it really plays well into this thought process. Now, we're looking at Daniel, we're looking at his friends, and we're going to see that Daniel's friends are literally going to be thrown into a fiery trial, right? You know who they are? They're going to discover this deeper faith than they ever thought was possible before because of who they are and the scenario they're in. They're going to discover that when you use your faith, when you're put in the middle of a difficult situation and you use your faith, you learn to trust in your faith because God comes through with that. Always. Now, when we started this series, we looked at this evil king called Nebuchadnezzar. And he was evil. He was the most powerful man in the entire world at that time. And after he conquered Judah, you know what he did? He went in, he destroyed the temple to humiliate the Jewish people because it was their culture that he had captured. He captured a lot of them. He killed a lot of them. He killed some of their families in front of their teenagers. He made eunuchs out of these teenage boys that they saw promise in, like these guys can be leaders in the future, and so we're going to make them eunuchs so their line can't go on, but we're going to use them for now. And then we're going to invite them into our culture, this Babylonian culture, and teach them to worship our gods and do things in our kind of ways. And Daniel and 3 of his friends were some of those young boys that came into this scenario. Does anybody know what Daniel's friends' names were? Shadrach, Shadrach, you're right, Meshach, and Abednego. That's exactly right. Now, do you know anything about them? Do you know anything about their lives, their lifestyles, who they were? Well, we don't get a whole lot of history on them, except for the fact that they are captured, their families are probably killed in front of them, they're made eunuchs, and now they're there serving the king Nebuchadnezzar, right? At this moment in history, Nebuchadnezzar makes this 90-foot tall golden statue of himself. So think 8 stories tall, 9 feet wide, this statue of himself. Think somebody has an ego challenge happening in their life right there? Look at this 90-foot tall image of me in gold, right? That's what this king does. I'm so important, I need a statue. Daniel 3, verses 4 through 6. Then a herald shouted out, "People of all races and nations and languages, listen to the king's command. When you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the pipes, and other musical instruments, bow to the ground to worship King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statue. Anyone who refuses to obey will immediately be thrown into a blazing furnace." Everybody worship me, is what he's saying. Everybody worship this statue that I've made to myself. And I commissioned, I had it done, and now you worship this image of myself. Right? Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're teenage boys. They don't want to worship this golden statue. They love God. They want to worship God. They don't want to worship false idols. They don't want to disappoint or disobey God. And if you think about it, does it get any more serious than that in our lives? Do we want to worship God or do we want to worship ourselves? Basically what it comes down to. our health, our benefits, our way of life. Which one do you want to worship? When you use your faith, you learn how to trust your faith. Difficult situations, difficult scenarios, difficult moments, your faith becomes real in those. Now, right now, some of you are in the middle of a test, of a difficult moment, and your faith is being strengthened. Hold on to that moment. Because later on in your life, when you face another difficult moment, and your faith is still real in the middle of that, you're going to see how important that is to get you through those difficult moments. Because faith, when it's tested, is a faith that you can trust. And you don't know that until you go through difficult moments. You just don't. And right now, again, some of you are in the middle of that. Put yourself where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are, right? They're in the middle of this scenario. You either bow down and worship or you die. What do? I'm asking you straight out, what do? Do you bow down and worship or do you die? Do you make excuses or do you die? Do you bow down and worship or do you die? That's the question, right? What do you think Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did? Anybody want to guess? They didn't bow down. They stood firm. Daniel 3 verse 7. So at the sound of the musical instruments, all the people, whatever their race or nation or language, bowed to the ground and worshiped the gold statue that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. This big honking gold statue. Every important official from anywhere around was there. And they're bowing down to the statue. And everybody bowed down. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And everybody's bowing down except for 3 teenage boys. What do you think about that? What do you think the response to that's going to be? Everybody else is doing it but 3? Now understand, everybody hated the Jewish boys that were part of Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom because Nebuchadnezzar favored them, right? He showed them grace and mercy, and he was kind to them in a lot of ways. And so these 3 Jewish boys aren't bowing down, and everybody's trying to get these Jewish boys anyway. They're going, hey, king, look who's not bowing down. Look at who's disobeying you. King, do you remember what you said was going to happen? Yeah, these boys need to be killed, right? That's exactly what was happening. Daniel 3:16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego replied, O Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to defend ourselves before you. If we're thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. They said it very politely, very kindly, but they were disobeying the king's orders. These teenagers are calm, cool, and collected. Cool is the key term here, because they're getting ready to be thrown into a fiery furnace, right? We worship God. We're going to serve God. We're not bowing down to you. And everything we do, we believe God will protect us. Think about that. That preaches really good. Makes for great sermons. I've heard a lot of great sermons on Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. A lot of them. Why? Because it's the perfect story to show your faith, to show you standing up against the evil king, to show God protect. It's like a preacher's dream right there, right? A lot of good stuff can come out of this story. But when your life is on the line and you're about to get thrown into the fire, are you going to say God's able to save me, or are you going to bow down? What's it going to be for you? Are you going to say, God, we trust you? Are you going to say, God, we believe in you? Are we going to say, God, you're able to save us? Well, they refuse to compromise any parts of their faith, even in the middle of facing death. That's just bold. They refused to give up on their faith, even when death was coming at them. Again, bold. When you use your faith, you learn how to trust your faith, because you see God coming through for you time and time and time again. Think how easy it would have been for them to blend in. I mean, just to bow down, fingers crossed behind their backs, going, I don't know. Nobody's going to notice if my fingers are crossed. I'm not really doing this. I'm just kind of acting like I'm doing this. I'm just pretending like I'm bowing down, but in my heart, I'm not really bowing down, right? I can pretend like it and still live, right? I can fake it. I don't have to really believe it. And come on, God, you'll let me buy this one time. I mean, just worshiping once like this, that's all right with you, right? Wouldn't you rather I stay alive and do this than be killed? That's a difficult question, isn't it? How many of us are bowing down just once? How many of us, I'm going to guess you get put in that scenario, almost every hand in this room goes up, including mine. Why? Because that's a big, difficult question. It's also really easy for most of us in the United States to kind of write this story off as fiction. Or look at it as, well, that happened back then, but it doesn't happen to us today. Listen, you're free today. You're free to worship whoever you want to, do whatever you want to do, stay within the laws of the land, and you're good. It's not always going to be that way. We won't always be in a culture like this. You need to understand that and realize that. Because there are places around this world where you can't do that. And you get killed for doing that. And there are lots of people that have been martyrs and been put to death because of their faith in Jesus. I want to tell you, our faith is tested in all kinds of different ways. Every single day. It just is. Whether you compromise and laugh at the joke or not, your faith's being tested. Whether you compromise and join in the gossip about somebody else in your office or whether you don't, your faith is being tested. Whether you join the chaos and all the division happening or whether you rise above it and you keep the mission of Jesus at the forefront, your faith is being tested. Every single day, you have a choice. Choice between doing what's wrong or doing what's right. Between doing what's easy or doing what's right. Every single day. A choice between doing what pleases God or what pleases people. You have that choice. So which one do you choose? Choose God or you choose the easy way? Choose God, you choose people. We don't know because we're not put in that scenario where we think about it in that way. And so we just kind of live our lives. Let me describe it this way. You have a choice between worshiping God or giving your heart to an idol. And everybody in here is going, I'd never give my heart to an idol. Never. I would never, ever, ever do that. Oh, really, Bengal fans? I am... Somebody said Joe Flacco. If you don't know, you don't know. Listen, I'm guilty. I am more than guilty of that. There have been times in my life where I probably worshiped the Pittsburgh Steelers in more ways than I care to admit. I just bought my second Salute to Service hoodie for this year at $114 a piece. I think I worship sometimes like that. You're going, well, I don't worship football. Oh, really? How's that new purse you just got? How is it? How are the new shoes? How's that new outfit that you have to ask your spouse if it makes you look fat or not? How is it? Sometimes we worship the things in our lives that we love. Are you making them an idol? I promise you, if you're committed to serving God, here's what happens. Like all those baptisms we had a few weeks ago, like the baptism we just had this morning. Guess what gets turned up in your life when you do that? The heat gets turned up. Because spiritually, now you're going against what Satan wants. Spiritually, now he's coming at you just to bring you back down. Because that's what happens when you start your life faith, living by faith, acting out in faith, putting your values to the test. Even in the face of death, they refuse to compromise their faith in God. Again, back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, Daniel 3:17. If we're thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty, being very polite. Now, sometimes we have to tell ourselves, no matter what we're facing, God is able. Have you ever had to tell yourself that? God's able. I mean, no matter what I'm going through, God is able. Sometimes you don't even know that God's going to be there for you, but you got to say, God is able. Sometimes you have to preach that to yourself. God is able. My God is able to get me out of any scenario, any situation, any struggle that I'm going through, any of them. And we have to remind ourselves, we serve a God who says, with him, all things are possible. All things are possible. I serve a God who has the ability to take someone that's blind and restore their sight. Written about in the New Testament. We serve a God who has the ability to take somebody that can't hear and provide hearing for them. And maybe that's through medical type situations, or maybe that's just through a miraculous healing. I've seen it happen. We serve a God that can speak to someone who has physically died, and he can speak them back to life. That's what our faith is based on, by the way. You realize that. The fact that somebody died and didn't stay dead, he came back to life. That's the power that he has. Our God is able. And I don't know what it'll be for you. But maybe you get a bad medical report. And what you have to say is, that's bad. I don't like that. I don't want that. But my God is still able to heal me. And you have to believe that. Some of you might be in a relationship and you think, there's no way this is ever going to work out. Not with that attitude. God can restore broken relationships. God can heal broken relationships. But you both have to be on the same path with God for that to happen. You might be struggling financially right now. I mean, who's not? The price of eggs is crazy. Maybe you're struggling financially. You have to remember that financially, God owns it all. You trust in God, you give to God the first 10%, you live your life knowing God's going to take care of you. That's the way it works. You trust God with your first fruits, your first 10%, and see what happens with the other 90%. Don't complain if you're not doing it. Don't be surprised if you're not doing it. My God is able. But here's the bigger question. What if God is able and he doesn't? What if God is able, but he doesn't do what you want him to do? It's the same question these three teenagers had to ask. Daniel 3:17 through 18. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. Don't miss this part. But even if he doesn't, God's able. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue that you have set up. That's faith that's being put to the test. We believe God can, but even if he doesn't. One of the greatest faith statements you could ever make is this. God, I believe you can. God, I believe you will. But even if you don't, I still believe. You say that with me? God, I believe you can. God, I believe you will. But even if you don't, I still believe. That's bold. That's faith. That's living out your faith. I'll still trust you. I'll still serve you. I'll still honor you. I'll still believe in you. There's some of you that God didn't do what you thought he was going to do in your life, and you walked away, or your friends walked away, or your parents walked away, or your spouse walked away. Encourage them to come back, because the end of the story is so powerful. You don't want them to miss it. You don't want them to miss it. When you use your faith, you learn how to trust in your faith. And it's about time for that faith to get tested. So the king ordered the furnace turned up 7 times. He's pretty ticked off. Everyone from around, everywhere, all the officials, all the big guys are here worshiping me, and you guys choose not to? I'm going to turn this furnace up by 7 times. We're talking hot. He got his strongest guards, his strongest soldiers, to take these 3 teenagers and throw them in the furnace, and the strongest soldiers get burned. They're gone because the furnace was so hot. He throws them in. You know what happened? Nebuchadnezzar looks into the flames and he sees them walking around. How do you think that happens? What happens because there's not just 3 of them in there. There's 4 of them. Oh, wait, we just threw 3 in. Who's the 4th guy? Right? Who's the 4th guy? The 4th guy, this is what Nebuchadnezzar says. The 4th is like the Son of God. In other words, it's Jesus. You go, wait, this is a long time before Jesus was born. Jesus has been around since the beginning, right? We don't think of him until he's born as a baby. He's been around forever. The 4th guy in this furnace is Jesus. And he's protecting them in the middle of the fire. Daniel 3:28. Then Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel to rescue his servants who trusted in him. They defied the king's command and were willing to die rather than serve or worship any god except their own." When did God deliver these teenagers? Did he deliver them from the fire? Or did he deliver them in the fire? It's in the middle of the fire. They still had to go through this experience of being thrown into the fire. No, thank you. Don't want to be there. Don't want to live through that. Don't want to experience that. You're getting thrown into the 7 times turned up furnace. Jesus didn't stop them from that. Jesus was there in the middle of that with them. Jesus is there with you. Whatever you're facing, whatever you're going through, whatever life is throwing at you, whatever bad decisions you've made, Jesus is still there. And he wants to pull you out of the furnace. He wants to pull you out of that fire. He wants to give you the support and encouragement that you need. God doesn't always save us from our difficult moments, but he's always there when we're going through them. And he will be there with you, no matter what you've done and no matter where you've been. He'll be there with you. I love the words to the song that Noah talked about today, "You Won't Relent." So powerful. You won't relent until you have it all. God, you're not going to relent pursuing me, loving me, being there for me until you have all of my heart. You're not going to quit on me. Even when I quit on myself, you're not quitting on me. My heart is yours. Will you pray with me? Father God, I'm praying for everyone in this room. I'm praying for everyone watching online. God, you are so powerful. And you can do anything. But God, if you choose not to, for this moment, for this time, for this struggle, for this trial, then I'm going to trust that you're still there with me through it. And I'm going to hold on to you because you're pursuing me and you love me. And my heart is yours. In Jesus' name, amen.